The Dunnellon Tigers were kept humble by the coaching staff, but they had confidence because the players knew that they had worked harder and were tougher than any of their opponents, and Kennedy made sure of this. At the end of many practices, the players were a battered mess whose bodies were stained with dirt, grass, and even some blood. But now some were going to have vomit added. The excruciating Florida sun had been bearing down mercilessly on them for 2.5 hours as they pounded each other's flesh on the practice field. However, that was the easy part. The Dunnellon Tigers were known for the infamous 40-40s that the team ran throughout the season. At the end of every grueling practice, the team would line up on the goal line and sprint to the 40-yard line. Yes, every player had to run hard and dig down deep, otherwise that group had to repeat the sprint. If a satisfactory sprint was made to the 40, then the group had to turn around and jog back to the goal line, and that counted as one sprint. This would be repeated, if the team was lucky, 40 times. This would be considered minimum conditioning, and further running would be added depending on how hard the team worked in practice. One thing was for sure, the Dunnellon would be the best conditioned team on the field. This was particularly important since many players would have to play both ways. As Coach Vince Lombardi once said, "Fatigue makes cowards of us all," and there was no room for cowardice on a Kennedy-coached team. Indeed, the Dunnellon Tigers would find that playing in a game was actually fun compared to practices. Richard Kennedy was a disciplinarian of the highest degree, and it didn't matter who your parents were or if you were a star athlete. Kennedy once told a newspaper reporter, "We want our football players to be the best kids in school. It doesn't always happen that way, but we pride ourselves in education and the way our players conduct themselves. Winning is of the utmost importance, but there's a right way and a wrong way. If we have a boy that breaks the rules, he won't play. Even if he's a great player, he won't play." Kennedy had a unique ability to motivate his players in the day-to-day activities as well as in the pressure-packed moments before and during a game. He was a very competitive individual that hated to lose, but he focused on the attitude and character of his team more than just the wins and losses. I was in the middle school during the state championship run, and along with my best friend Stuart Miller, we played for Dunnellon's youth football team while waiting on our chance in 1981 to join the program. Stuart and I made the all-star football team in 8th grade, and we would end up fighting each other, chasing girls, and having fun together for many years to come. But it all started with our friendship out on the gridiron. Stuart wasn't very big, but he was typical of the average Dunnellon football player, tougher than a lighter knot. The sport of football demands hard work and physical punishment up front with enjoyable rewards coming later. There is something to be said for the bond amongst boys while sweating, bleeding, and getting bruised together as teammates. Young men are usually motivated to rally around a cause, particularly against all odds, and doing it as a team. Teenage boys have plenty of testosterone coursing through their veins, and it is only natural that they have a bit of machismo that they want to display out on the football field. Richard Kennedy would coach several other great players at Dunnellon, and I played with Fred Williams, Robert Hunter, and Ernie Mills, who would all play professional sports. Fred was the most intimidating teammate I ever had, and he would eventually play in the Canadian Football League. Robert scored 29 touchdowns his senior year, which is still a record in Central Florida. He would go on to play professional baseball with the New York Yankees organization. Ernie also played for the Florida Gators, and he had a 9-year NFL career, with his highlight being the 8 catches he had in Super Bowl 30 against the Dallas Cowboys while playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, Richard Kennedy coached and developed talent at Dunnellon, but his trademark was getting average athletes to believe that they were better than they were and to consistently play over their heads. Coach Kennedy did things his way and was unwilling to compromise, although his legacy will be marked by the countless lives that he impacted. The feelings of so many people in Dunnellon were summed up by one of the town's beloved patriarchs, Ned Love, when he told reporters, "They ought to put him in jail. He's a con man. He took 5 or 6 players and conned 20 others into thinking they were players. He's not only a fine coach, but a fine person. He's done a terrific job with some borderline kids that might have otherwise have gone bad. He got them over the hump, taught them character and integrity. When you get a little older, the winning is fine, but you like to see other things. It's those other things that make Richard the man he is." Coach Kennedy won 80% of his games at Dunnellon, but left after the 1985-1986 school year to continue his coaching career elsewhere. His coaching philosophy never changed as he continued to stress fundamentals, defense, motivation, and hard work. He was successful at every school before settling at Liberty County High School in 1989. He rebuilt the program and eventually led the school in Bristol, Florida to the state playoffs. They had a 10-year streak of making the playoffs, which was all the more impressive since the school had not been to the state playoffs since 1975. He had an overall record of 123-44, which included a 10-year run where he won 101 games and 6 district titles in a row. Richard Kennedy coached football for 35 years, 28 years as a varsity head coach. He won 230 games, which is about 75% of his games. His overall high school coaching career in the state of Florida speaks for itself. 2 state titles, 1 state runner-up, 10 regional titles, 12 district titles, 2-0 record in bowl games, 21-12 postseason record. Richard Kennedy received regional and state coach of the year honors for 8 football seasons, including 5 years in a row. In 1979, he was one of 4 high school coaches in the entire Southeast that was awarded for their coaching achievement. Former Oklahoma coach Bud Wilkinson presented this special recognition. In 1977, he was awarded the Coca-Cola Dunkel Award for the most improved high school football team in Florida. This was based on him taking an 0-10 team and improving it to 8-3 in 1977. In 1979, Kennedy was the head coach for the North Florida High School All-Star team and led them to victory over the South Florida All-Star team, which had previously won 7 consecutive victories over the North team. However, the prestigious awards would mean little to the coach compared to the impact that he had in the lives of his players while they were in high school and for the rest of their lives. I can speak from my experience about the impact that playing for Richard Kennedy has made in my personal and professional life. These sentiments have been echoed repeatedly by the countless players that he made a huge difference in their lives in shaping them and teaching boys how to become men. On January 7, 2012, the Florida Athletics Coaches Association inducted Richard Arthur Kennedy into the Hall of Fame.
He has 13 consecutive 10-win seasons, 2 undefeated regular seasons. He's been an FACA All-Star Coach 2 times, Coach of the Year 8 times, and a clinic speaker. He has received the FACA Professional and Meritorious Service Award for his contribution to high school athletics and the coaching profession. And one of his special thing in his life was on his first job, he met his wife. And he said it was the best thing that ever happened to him. He scored big points today, didn't he? Richard Kennedy.
I'm not a speaker, but I just want to tell you I'm very honored and more so extremely humbled. This is the most humbling thing that ever happened to me. And I know why it happened, and I want to share some of that. And the reason that I'm most humbled is because, my name will be on that plaque, but now there's a bunch of people that could be up here right now, and I want to share a few things with you about them, and I won't hold you real long. You've heard what was said about my wife, and she truly was the greatest example of coach's wife there could ever be. And she's just been wonderful. I have 2 wonderful daughters, Marie and Julie. I have 3 lovely, sweet granddaughters here, Savannah, Emma, and Karina. Many friends and community supporters, and that was such a big part of it through the years, and the various places that that I coached in, and that my family followed me to, fortunately. I do want to mention some people that I think maybe are responsible for my directly being here and receiving this award today. Certainly Shelton Cruz, and I know John Palmer, who I know his dad extremely well, coached against him, and John didn't fall too far from the truth. He's a great young man, and his dad was a great man. One of our former coaches, an outstanding coach, and I know he had something to do with this, Chuck Anna. One of our former players, Kirk Erickson. I wanted to mention him. I'm sure there are others. I'm not going to mention all the great coaches that I work with, some of them whom are in attendance today, but they were outstanding, and they are a large part. They worked hard. We worked hard. Our players worked hard. I didn't have to coach anybody. I wasn't smart enough to, but we worked hard, and our players, they worked hard, and our coaches worked hard. I guess at this point, and the major thing that I'd like to say in closing, I'm not going to be here long. There's numerous former players out there, outstanding, all of them outstanding people. And I think that's the reason why they did what they were. And just a lot of great players. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to get into it. But they are the reason that Richard Kennedy is standing up here and receiving this award. I'm just thankful to be here. Thank the good Lord in heaven to have been affiliated with the type people that I've been with. I also want to mention I appreciate my brother for coming over to protect us and his family, and also one of my nephews and his lovely wife. And I just thank God for having the opportunity to be here. Most of all, to be around the people that we've been able to be around throughout life. Thank you very much.